Welcome back to the podcast, everyone. Santos and Marcus here. Actually, somebody won today, so I'm going to give him... Actually, I didn't participate, but he still won.
Wouldn't have mattered.
So he still gets first billing.
I was making putts today.
Marcus and Santos here today. We got some guests. They're coming to us live from the Mecca of disc golf on the East Coast. Charlotte, I like to call them our Mecca cans. And it's Bobcat and Justin. And the voice behind our... Oh, come back. Where'd she go?
She's right here.
They have to hear the squeak. That's Alicia. She's the voice behind the camera in our LVC challenge against Justin and DBW. If you haven't seen it, go back, check it out.
I'll link it somewhere up here.
We love doing that. And then...
New video dropping Thursday.
Actually, it'll already have dropped by the time this goes.
Yeah.
So both videos will be available by the time this drops. We're not current yet. We're still ironing some stuff out. So check it out. So let's start with the reason we're all here. It's Bobcat himself. I've told the story enough times, and if you've missed that, check out episodes 1 through 3. You're going to see a story in there somewhere. But the reason we're all here, I found disc golf through Bobcat, and this is what we've evolved to so far. Obviously, we're growing. We're working on things. We want to make it as best we can. So, Bob, thanks for joining us today.
No problem.
Justin is the former prodigy from Prodigy, the kid prodigy. Justin, Gilbert, everyone, you were playing MPO at what, 15?
I started playing MPO at 15 years old, yeah.
Yeah, so he's got some skills. You've heard us talk about him. No one ever invites him. He still shows up, still wrecks, still throws fire.
I have receipts of you inviting me to every event, man.
I like to still call him 1,000 rated because he was in that area. Bob likes to throw him a little under and say he isn't worth it. He's like 997 or 6.
Oh, what are you rated right now?
Me? I have no idea. Probably like 987.
Oh, how far the mighty have fallen.
Yeah.
All right, so while he's looking up your exact rating, because the people want to know.
Probably not
Bob,
current.
let's
It
go into a
probably
little bit more
isn't current.
detail. Just give us that elevator pitch. Give us that 1 minute get to know me. How long you been playing? You have your sponsorships. What's going on with you?
I've been playing for 15 years. Since I was 2008. I didn't get my PDGA number until 2011, though. Took a little bit of break for college, but since like 2015, I've played like 20 plus tournaments every year. I think I'm up to 167 or 168 tournaments. And yeah, I run events, moved to Charlotte like 2.5 years ago, I think.
Yeah, it's been 2.5.
Yeah, and that's pretty much it.
And a fun fact,
my
Bobcat.
sponsors.
Go ahead.
My sponsors, Infinite Discs and local shop here in Charlotte for Cornelius, Chain Reactions.
Are we allowed to share your code?
We don't have codes this year for Team Infinite.
That's right.
They didn't do codes this year. I think it's because they're doing the new website and it might be too hard to integrate. Not 100% sure why they're not doing codes this year, but that's kind of my assumption.
Okay. So Bob's a numbers guy, loves spreadsheets, and I actually saw one the other day. If you haven't seen it, his aces are kept on a spreadsheet.
Very low number. Very low number.
The smallest spreadsheet I own.
What number are you at, though, Bob?
15.
I mean, that's
So
a lot
one
of
a year.
aces.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, one a year, I'll take that.
Took me 7 years to get my first ace.
For so long.
It took me 7 years to get my first ace as well.
I've got 3, and I'm
You've got
almost
one.
4 in. I've got 3.
You've got one.
I've got 3.
I have over 100. I've lost count.
Jesus.
And my first ace was 107 feet with a Predator.
100 and what?
7.
107 feet.
Oh, so
107, not 170.
It was 7 at Hawks Landing.
With a Predator, and it paid out $212. It was almost $2 per foot.
Nice.
Any ace under 200 doesn't count.
Jeez, this guy again, the elitist.
Only one of my aces counts.
It counts, especially if you get paid for it. That definitely counts.
Oh, absolutely. If you get paid
Yeah.
for it, you have to count it. Yeah.
I mean, so look, there's cubby aces, right? People throw 1 or 2 off the tee pad. By the time you hit 3, if you haven't aced it, I wouldn't say you're going to count that after that. If you're emptying your bag and on the 12th shot you get it, that's not a cubby ace.
I don't
That's
count
like
any
so
cubby
far
aces.
out.
If it's a cubby, if it's not first shot off the tee and around your scoring, I don't care.
Okay. Well,
I count my Vegas ace, and that was technically a second shot.
Yeah. I mean,
We
too bad, that was
definitely
like
count that.
400 and some feet, right? That was
Yeah.
like 510.
That was like 360 or something like
Yeah.
that.
Hole
Yeah.
3?
No, it was
No.
16.
Yeah.
At
On the
Old
16.
Infinite.
The
yeah,
one Macbeth aced, right?
No,
Oh,
that's one I
I
aced.
remember
one
now.
Gilbert
That's the one
gun.
Justin aced. That's
Like
Yeah.
right.
2 hours later, he didn't even let me have a day.
You guys have had an ongoing competition, right? All right.
Oh, it's
Before we
been
get
gone. That
there,
was a couple.
Oh, it's
That was
over.
no, that was years ago. That was
before
years
we get
ago,
there,
man.
let's introduce the folks who don't know Justin.
I
Justin,
wait
give
for
us your give us your pitch, man. Tell us how long, sponsorships. What's your background?
Well, I'm from Buffalo, New York, just like the rest of you. I started playing when I was 8 years old in an after-school program at Chestnut Ridge, best course in Buffalo, hands down, without a doubt.
worst.
And then I played there for probably 5 years straight with just a champ Valkyrie.
With just a champ Valk.
There's a champ Valk. I eventually got the Innova champ starter pack, which
Nice.
had the Valkyrie in it. So I lied. I had a Sidewinder first, then Valkyrie, then the Panther and the Aviar. I played there. That's all I knew what disc golf was for the first 5 years. Then someone invited me out to Tuesday Night League at Beaver Island, where I met Dan Hastings, Sam Castiglione, Ricky Steeler, and Bobcat Buckley. And
Nice.
then I just went from there and I said, yep, this is what I'm doing from now on. I stopped pretty much every other sport that I was doing to do this.
And then Bob poured all his knowledge into you, and a year later, you surpassed him.
Yeah, Buckley and Ricky really kind of helped me learn what the sport was and how to play, how to proper etiquette and all that. Ricky went on tour, and that's when it was just me and Buckley, and me and him kind of pushed each other. We were around the same level, and then I eventually went up to MPO. And this past year, I spent 2022 with my wonderful fiance in an RV going on the Disc Golf Pro Tour.
Does that hurt your soul, Santos?
This is disc golf related.
Into Santos's family.
This is disc golf related.
We'll be here for a while if we're talking about Santos's family.
Yeah, his fiance is my daughter Alicia. If you guys haven't put that part together yet. So real quick, on tour, had a good time. It was like it's an experience, right? It was something you had to Charlotte to focus on. Both of you, you had a plan. Disc golf was going to be your life. Charlotte's where it's at, and you went there and you let it happen from there, right?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Justin.
Yeah. So me and Lisa went to Charlotte at the same time Buckley did. All three of us moved down here in September of 2020, right? Yeah, 2020. Yep. And then we were here for about a year and a half. Me and Buckley kind of got to know the scene, got to meet people around here. And me and Lisa made the decision. She started her own business, and I said, you know what, I think I can do this. Bought a little RV, me and her to go around in, started the tour in Vegas. Kind of did a half disc golf pro tour, then half like bigger A tiers, big B tiers along the way. And then took a nice month-long break with you guys in Buffalo. Finished out a couple more events after that and came back home.
You know what? We'll try to put up. I got some pictures, but real quick, your Texas States, you aced?
Yep. Yeah, Texas States. I aced hole 10 there with a really cool Firebird, which I'd never thrown Firebirds before. And I lost one of my scepters, and Santos gave me this Firebird when I was in Vegas. And it was just very simple. It's the same mold, so I was just using it, and I got an ace that got me a $1,000 donation from the Ricky Wysocki Foundation, where I was able to donate to a school or program of my choice, a basket, and I believe it was 60 putters for these kids to learn. And I was able to do a clinic with them, and I was actually due I think it was past June, right? June or July.
When you guys were in town, yeah. So yeah.
Yeah, I think it was June.
With DBW.
Yeah, so the program where I learned, the after-school program that I learned how to play disc golf from, when I first touched a disc, I donated them a basket and a bunch of discs, did a clinic for all the kids there with the DGGG team, and we were able to show them kind of how putting works and got them out of the sport.
Nice.
So, yeah.
I remember when you got the ace and like kind of messaged us, and I started immediately tagging like DGPT and Disc Golf Network. I'm like, this guy aced. And it actually, they on the broadcast showed, hey, we got an ace, and it's Justin Gilbert. They showed your scorecard, and what's his name? Said, well, it's an up and down scorecard, but congrats on the ace.
Oh yeah, it was a very up and down round. Very up and down round.
Right.
Call that barcoding.
The fun thing about that round was 2 holes before, Gavin Babcock threw in from like 200 feet. And then I can't remember who else was on my card, but someone else on the next hole threw in from about 300 feet. and then I aced
Oh,
the whole
wow.
app.
Okay, so
And then
again,
Luke Humphreys was on hole 11, and we're like, all right, if you ace this, we're getting the cameras out here because I had this highlight reels after highlight reel after highlight reel.
this is the reason why we say who invited this kid, because he's always about the one-upsmanship, right?
And
A guy
it
gets
was
a throw in, a guy gets a farther throw in, so he's like, I'll throw it in from the tee pad, and then he
his
does.
his ace was 426 feet, by the way.
426 feet. Wait a minute, was that the dyed?
Yeah, it was the dyed
Firebird?
Firebird.
Yeah, that was the dyed Firebird, the orange one. I have it in my truck, but it's gonna take me a while to get to my truck.
If we do, I'm definitely putting
I'll
it up
get a
here.
picture from Justin.
Yeah, I'll get a picture of it.
Yeah.
It's on my Instagram. Here, hang on, I can probably
Yeah.
find it.
Yeah, I'll find it. And
Four- so-
I'll put it in post. Don't worry.
Yeah, Firebird. I mean, dude, is he allowed to count that?
What do you mean? Why wouldn't he count that?
Because you want to put limits on what people can count. I
It
just want to
fits-
make sure in the Marcus
It
world.
fits all the criteria. It's in a scored round. The first shot off the tee, over 200 feet.
All right, it's an ace.
It was-
Just so you know, Marcus approved it.
Yeah, the best part of it was that I didn't actually know it went in because it's a blind hole, and the spotter goes, he waves the green flag because there's a lot of OB around, and we all thought he just said safe. That's all, and he just said it really excitedly. So we're like, oh, sweet, like it must be really good because he was really excited about it. And then we get up there, and my disc is in the basket, and he goes, that's what I was trying to say. So none of us knew until we got up to the basket.
So is that far that you couldn't even hear it hit chains?
No, it's Texas. It's windy. We couldn't really hear anything.
Oh man, well that's why you threw the fire. Jesus, a Firebird 426. First world problems. So Justin likes to throw fire. I mean, he's not the farthest throwing pro. I did see the championship where they were hitting 700, but in our core group, our team, the majority of people that we hang with, he's one of the furthest throwers, 5.5, right? 550 maybe.
Yeah, I'll go 550. My best is like 630.
Yeah,
I
but
haven't gotten
golf
close to that.
line,
And then
that's what you call it, right? Your
Yeah,
golf
golf
line,
line.
your true golf line. I mean, I've seen you rip it in the woods at least 500.
I watched him throw a Predator like 470 the other day.
Yeah.
Yeah, I watched him throw Predator like 470 through Angry Beaver like 2 days ago.
Yeah,
So-
that video is going to also be coming out soon, which will be hilarious.
Yeah, that video will be coming out probably shortly after this podcast actually comes out.
Okay. And because he likes being such a bully, he taught himself how to throw left-handed.
Yep.
Just
He got so bored of beating me with his right hand that he learned how to throw lefty.
Did you see that video? Did they send you the video or is it on? Yeah, it's on Justin's phone.
wait, which video? The more recent one?
Yeah, it's
this
on my
weekend?
phone. You
Just
have
this
it.
weekend, where like I was like, I'm standing in the middle of the fairway and I'm like, there's nothing. What am I supposed to do? And so I throw my shot, hit a tree. Justin's like, oh, do this. He gets all the way down the fairway, like
With his left hand?
Yeah.
He throws a lefty turnover and gets all the way down to the
He
basket.
teaches a lefty how to throw lefty.
Yeah.
Yeah, when, in 2018, I was
Called
playing.
one-upsmanship.
Yeah.
It's a bad thing to do it to Bob, who is a very, very beyond proficient. I was going to say proficient, but Bob is a really, really good forehand throw. Like, was that your primary way of? Did you learn
Yeah.
that way?
I threw only forehand for 7 years.
Same, yep, forehand early for 7 years for me too.
So Bob, he really has a good forehand. So to just go ahead and trump that by teaching yourself left to outthrow someone, that's bad. But to do it to
Yeah,
a
then
lefty, that's worse.
Yeah, in 2018, I was playing a bunch of Pittsburgh events as an amateur. I was playing Slippery Rock, and I can't remember, it's on the college campus. And I was throwing hole 9. I hurt my sidearm on the throw. It was a good shot. By the time I got to the basket, I felt fine. I tried to throw sidearm in the next hole, and I knew I was going to throw sidearm for the rest of the year. And it actually turned out being a year and a half before I threw sidearm again.
Nice. But you do also have a very good forehand. I mean, I've seen that thing
Yeah.
whiz through the woods too. So
You threw a
That's
couple
pretty
good
good.
ones on
That's
camera.
pretty
Yeah.
good.
yeah, the
I
fact
haven't-
that
I haven't-
you just got bored and taught yourself left is annoying.
I didn't get bored with left-handed. I trained left-handed because my sidearm wasn't working in 2018.
Yeah, well, you still outthrows me left-handed
Ridiculous.
on the drives. We're not.
And the gross thing is that like it used to be, hey Buckley, give me your most understable disc so I can throw lefty. And now like his primary disc that he throws lefty is a Predator. And he like throws it at a hyzer and it flips over. I'm like, this
Yeah.
is stupid.
Annoying.
Yeah, it's dumb.
This is why we don't invite him.
So let's get into what we want to talk about.
Yeah.
We got introductions. We got to know you. You get to know the
Oh,
dynamic.
wait,
between the
real
four of us.
quick.
No.
Okay. My sponsors this year will be Infinite Discs again and Dying to Disc Golf, leader of Santos Torres over there.
I forgot
See-
that part. We cut him off a little early.
Yeah, that's all right.
And,
It's all right. We can talk about aces. That's
No one
fine.
wants to hear from him.
all right, so I don't even remember. I think it was Christina who said it because we were just trying to get funny names for people who are going to be joining us. And with Charlotte really being that mecca of the East Coast, it was just hilarious when she looked at me and said the Mexicans, and I'm like, that's just too funny not to.
Yeah, it's fine when you
label
say
these
it because
guys.
you're.
Because I'm what?
because you-
Go ahead,
because-
say it. I'm not Mexican,
No, you're not Mexican. I know that, but
I'm darker
you're
than
close
you, so
enough,
I'm allowed
yeah.
to say it.
yeah, you are. It's fine when you say it.
I hear Lucy running in from the other room to come say something.
She's not allowed to have an opinion unless it's someone's on the lead car. It's me. All right.
So you guys have lived in Charlotte now for 2.5 years, like you said.
Yep.
And you started playing disc golf in Buffalo, both of you. So you have now you have pretty good time in Buffalo and a pretty good amount of time in Charlotte. So we want to talk about and let people know, about the differences between the two scenes because and you've traveled the country as well. A lot of us have played courses in other parts of the country, so courses differ, clubs differ,
and you meet a
tournaments
ton of
differ.
people who
You meet
are
so
from
many
those other
people.
locations. Keep contact with them, make friendships throughout.
Yeah. Yeah, so where do you want to start? What do you want to start? Courses?
We can start talking about. Let's start talking about the community first.
Sure.
Both completely different feels. And this hurts me to say because I moved to Charlotte for disc golf, but personally, I like the feel of the WNY community better because everybody knows everybody. It's like a small town.
It is a small town.
I mean, yeah. I'll play tournaments. Last year I played 23 tournaments, something like that. And I see the same people at all the tournaments. And I'll ask somebody that I've seen at 3 or 4 tournaments, hey, do you know this other person that I've played 3 or 4 tournaments with? And they're like, nope, never heard of him before. What? They play all of the events, but every weekend
So
there's
large.
every weekend there's Flex starts with 170 people at it. So
And at 4 different locations throughout the city.
yeah, there was one weekend last year we had it was a B tier. The B tier and the range limits on the B tier didn't matter because it was Masters only. It was the Charlotte Masters tournament, and so that was going on. That was full, and then we had 2 other C tiers within 6 minutes of that course that were both also full.
Were they flex start C tiers or 2-round C tiers?
One of them was 2 round, the other was flex.
I think one of them was 2 rounds and one of them was flex.
Okay.
Yes.
So
I
still,
mean-
that's a ton of people.
There's a reason why it's called the Mecca of the East Coast. That's the reason why all the pros are moving there. It's
Yes.
you have that many courses, you have that many people, you have that many opportunities. How long was it that you had people believing in your imaginary friend Justin, who could throw fire and putt pretty good?
Oh, well, when we first moved here, he took some time off for some reason. I still think it's that he was butthurt that he didn't get into USDGC. But
Wow. Okay, hey, take your shots when you can.
So mad about
Take
that.
your shots when you can. Go ahead.
but yeah, he took a bunch of time off here. So I was like, oh yeah, I moved down here with this kid. He's really good. He just hit 1,000 rated 3 days before his 18th birthday. But he wouldn't come to leagues, wouldn't come to tournaments because he was trying to get a job and just starting work and just getting used to living in Charlotte or whatever. But
And brought a girl with him.
yeah,
That
and brought
messed it up.
and brought
Because
Lacey
she
with
wasn't
him.
in the plans.
So
Too little butthurt there, Santos.
so everyone was like, oh yeah, Buckley supposedly has this guy with him that is really good, but nobody's ever seen him. And then I think it was the first league he showed up to, or one of the first leagues he showed up to, Bradford singles. He won first place and aced the CTV hole, and he ended up taking home $500 from league night.
And now the people were like, don't bring your friend around anymore.
Yeah. I went there. It was the first time I went, and then I didn't go to that league again because my work schedule was weird at the time. I didn't go for another month and a half after that.
You know what?
And one thing that is very different is that I wasn't aware of this when I first got here. When you win an ace pool, you're supposed to donate 20% of it back so that there's some ace pool for the next time.
that a thing?
I had
No.
Hold
in
on.
this league, I had a lot of I had over 10 people come up to me about that the next time I showed up, and I had no idea whatsoever that was a thing.
Bob,
And that was,
is that a thing for your world?
I haven't seen that.
Is it something you heard of before this went down?
I don't know, because every person that runs the league does it differently.
Because there's so many
When I was
leagues.
running, there's so many leagues. When I was running my league, I didn't do that. I paid out 100%. There's some people that cap the ace pool. They'll cap it once it hits 500, and then they'll start the next ace pool.
Mhm.
If that's the case, I wouldn't expect the person to donate that because there's already an ace pool started for the next person to hit it. So
Obviously, I haven't been around long enough to know. All I know is you pay out the full ace pool, but
different areas have different
Yeah.
standards.
what
So
were
when
you
I went
saying?
to
Did you encounter
I've
anything in
never
Massachusetts?
heard of that. No. No.
when I went to MVP Open in 2019 or 18, I forget. And I played a doubles round at Pyramids, during the week, and my partner it was funny. My partner threw a forehand, slipped off the tee pad, and like thought he sprained his ankle, and he's like on the tee pad, groaning, like, "Oh, my ankle!" And his disc went in the basket. I was like, "Dude, you just aced."
The KJ ace?
Dude, it was
The
wild.
KJ USA?
And I was like, "Dude, you just aced." And he's like, "My ankle." And I'm like, "Dude, you aced." And he's like, "My ankle." And then he gets up, and I was like, "Dude, tighten your boot." And he tightened it, and he was like, "All right, where did I land? Are we all right?" I'm like, "You aced." He's like, "I thought you were saying that to make me feel better." But anyway, he gave me half the ace pool, and I was like, "What?" And I was like, "Why are you doing that?" And I was like, in that moment, I was like, I'm glad he aced and not me because I would have walked off with the whole ace pot, and not
Shit.
because I'm not courteous and it's just in Buffalo that's not a thing.
Yeah, I didn't know that. Marcus was my partner when I aced. I didn't know that was a thing.
At Bailey Glow League, Bailey's a pitch and putt in Charlotte. It's really fun. I usually don't like short courses, but it is really fun at Bailey Ace or Bailey Glow League, which is every Monday night. It's probably going on right now. Partners look at each other when they get assigned and be like, "Hey, split 50-50 if we hit," and they kind of agree to it,
Okay.
And that's cool.
Yeah.
But the Pyramids League, I wouldn't even have thought of that.
No, it's not something that really crosses my mind. I have, I played league at Outwater one time. My partner Ace, the ace pool was huge. We won the league, so he was just he took the ace pool and he was like, "Oh, you keep all the winnings. I'll take the ace pool. You just keep our split." And I was like, "Oh, that's cool." But
I had a kid ace with me. We were playing Bradford doubles on a Sunday, not the Sunday. And he was lone wolf, and he told me as we were walking up, everybody came. It was full field because it was I want to say the ace pool was $360. It was a pretty big ace pool for a league. And he looked at me, and he was the lone wolf, and he goes, "Congratulations, you get to see me ace today." And I'm like, "Okay." And he did. He aced our sixth hole or something like that, and then he gave everybody on the card $20 for a witness fee. And I'm like, "What?"
that's cool.
Wow.
Hey, do you
So
guys
much to learn.
have you guys heard of 51 Club, or do you guys do that?
That's
I don't know
something
what that
that I
is.
was introduced to when I was first started, and I've always known about it. I've always intended to do it, but for some reason, every time I see somebody ace, we all walk to our cars, and I don't ever remember to do it.
Yeah.
But
So 51 Club, if you don't know, I don't know if you know.
Let the people know.
So it's anyone you get in on it. You just kind of say the way I've always heard it is just if you talk about it with someone, you're now in it with them.
yeah, that's how it's supposed to.
If someone brings it up or something, and you talk about it and you tell them,
It's
then you're in
it's
it.
like the game. If you
Yeah.
if you hear the rules of the game, you lost.
Yep, it's like that. But it's
If you hear the rules of the 51 club, you're in the
You're in
51
51
club.
club,
Pretty
yeah.
much. If you're on the card and somebody aces, you give them $5. If they hit chains or metal, you give them $1.
Just an FYI, you all heard this, and I'm here. So
Yeah, I owe Justin
on the card.
$200.
It has to be on the card. You guys live in a different state, so it doesn't matter.
Wait, this is a thing.
Yeah, it's really.
In a tournament or casual rounds?
Yeah, whatever.
I've given people $5 before when I've seen them ace in a casual round.
Someone
That's the
aces,
thing.
then
That's the other.
the people on the card pay him $5 for aces.
Yeah, and then
And if he hits change, you give him a buck.
you give them a buck.
Yeah, that's the other
Shit,
thing
does
that's
that mean I'm in the
debated
club now?
too.
Yeah, you are.
I've heard it two different ways too, though.
Justin,
I've
we're
heard
not playing any more rounds together, period.
I'm playing a lot of rounds. You're playing a lot of rounds.
I've heard it two different ways too. I've heard it that it's all the time, and I've also heard it when there's not when there's not an ace pot already. So if it's in a casual round, or if you're playing a tournament at Emory and there is no A spot or something.
Thanks for the course etiquette. So my next ace, I'll look around, and if we haven't agreed to split anything, then my partner gets something, and makes sense.
It's crazy how region by region is different.
Yeah.
Yeah, I learned about that in Lehigh Valley.
Okay. I was going to say when you were in Mass, and it was in.
No, it was in
PA.
Lehigh Valley.
Okay.
I'm trying to remember. I think it was Mike.
Which Mike?
Carmen?
No,
Cole?
not Mike Carmen.
Cole? This Mike here, Cole.
Mike
Cole?
Pack.
Oh.
He passed away. A couple of years
R.I.P.
ago. Huh?
Is it RIP?
Yeah. He passed away a couple of years ago. He was a great guy, but I remember I think I was playing with him or something. He was the one that brought it up to me, and he was like, "Oh, we're in it." Because like I hit metal or something. He gave me a buck, and I was like, "What? What are you talking about?" And he was like, "Oh, 51 Club," and I was like, oh, "Okay."
Now, be specific, please, because chains
I don't
is
remember. It was
chains.
so long
Metal
ago.
is band or
The way
cage,
I
because
was
I've
told
hit that a
was
couple
it's
times.
metal.
Okay.
I'm sure there's an old school disc golf course review forum about it, so I'll
All
look it
right.
up.
So to sum it up, Bob, you're just like homesick because you want the feeling of knowing everybody everywhere you go,
Yeah, I
and
mean,
they
it's
know
like,
each other everywhere they go.
Yeah,
All right,
and
Justin, how is do you feel the same way with comparing the two clubs, or
It's a very similar idea to Buckley's. Like Buffalo's a lot smaller, so like you go to an event, you know everyone at the event. You go to a league, you know everyone at the league. While there are different leagues and stuff like that with Charlotte, there's so many leagues, so many people that I know a lot of people. Buckley knows a lot more than I do, and he doesn't even know probably half the people that play leagues on every single league night. He probably hasn't gone to every single league. There are a lot more courses in Charlotte, so as like a new player or even a professional player coming here, you can learn different shots. You can play and get new courses every week. But I personally like the courses in Buffalo better. It is more of a preference for me. It's just what I grew up on. It's what I know. And I think there's more diverse courses in the Buffalo scene than there are in the Charlotte scene.
I'd agree with that.
I would agree with that.
as someone who hates trees, I like Hornet's Nest and I like Scrapyard.
Scrapyard. Yeah.
Scrapyard's sick. I mean, as soon as I went down and played Scrapyard, like I
Told
hadn't been to Charlotte in probably 5 or 6 years to play disc golf. As soon as I got to Scrapyard, the first thing I said, I was like, "This is what disc golf is supposed to be."
Yeah, you sent that in the group chat.
Is
Yeah.
Scrapyard. This is what it's supposed to be.
Well, tell the
That
people why.
reminds me of when I went to Texas to play Texas States. I was under the impression of actually a lot of other professionals at the event were under the impression that we were playing dogwood on that property, and they changed. There was a temp layout. That's why, like, if you look at the coverage, it was mostly open. We had like 4 wooded holes. Most of us were under the impression that we were playing dogwood, and a lot of people were upset that we weren't playing dogwood. But dogwood is terrible for spectating and not the best filming, so it makes sense. And to see the Pro Tour going to a more spectating based versus a competition based is, I would say, it's concerning because it kind of takes away from the sport, which is why like you have worlds at places like Smugglers where you have one wooded course and one open course is like the best type of thing you can have for that type of event. But to see most of the Disc Golf Pro Tour be more open courses is kind of taking away from the game, in my personal opinion.
But I will say it is kind of annoying watching live coverage for Ledgestone where you can't watch the front 9 at Northwood.
Yep.
We've had that talk. Like if you can't have both. You can't keep your soul and keep your base and grow. If you want to grow, people have to be able to see the disc fly. You have to be able, like now they're selling tickets to practice rounds. Like they want to have the
really?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. You can pay to follow a card. You can pay just to have general admission. And there's only certain areas you can go. Even during practice days, you can only stay in certain roped off areas.
So
when I went to Ledgestone and played Northwood, you couldn't go on the front 9. You weren't allowed, no spectator except for hole 1's tee, and I think it wasn't even hole 9. It was like hole 11's basket was the first time that you could see a player.
there are
They do that-
some
they do
places
that
at
for
Northwood
everything,
that
too.
you can spectate and you can see some action, but for the most part, to have spectators follow the cards, it's very difficult. And for them
You
to
can only
see,
have spectators can only follow lead card. You can't have, unless you're like a caddy or player support.
Yeah.
You're not allowed to follow the cards.
right. So I mean, I get they want to grow. You got to bring in these sponsors. You got to get the money in to grow, and to do that, people have to see it, right? I'm going back years and years ago, where hockey was the 4th major sport, right? And they couldn't figure out why they weren't getting the viewerships as the other three majors. And I think it was
It's like
Fox News
1952.
introduced a glowing puck so that people could follow it better, because the complaint was they couldn't see the puck and they didn't know what people were doing with it. And so you had this sports graphic with Fox News, and you had this little glowing puck when it was on the boards and they couldn't see anything. Huge failure. There was a problem with people not being able to see what's going on. And I can equate that to some of what's happening with disc golf. Like, again,
Well, I agree. It is.
Go ahead.
I agree. It's the right move for the sport to have it more spectator friendly, more video friendly. But as a player, it is kind of upsetting to see and compete in. I'm hoping that there's ways that they can work around it where we can still have good spectating and get good courses. It's kind of difficult without putting like a bunch of artificial OB or a bunch of Mandos out everywhere.
Yeah.
And kind of still have that woods feel.
Yeah, so I'm not taking away. I'm just saying I understand why they're doing it, but
Yeah.
it does belong in the woods at least, at minimum 50, 60% of the time it belongs in the woods. You just want to make it more, it's better for the spectator.
It's definitely hard. Like Maple Hill isn't like, it's not as dense woods as Eureka, as Ledgestone, Maple, whatever, Northwood,
There you go.
the lump stump.
That's all right. Marcus, man.
Lump sum. Money, I want it now.
All right.
Northwoods is way more densely packed. Like you can be in the trees at Maple Hill and still see and not get hit by a disc. Whereas Northwood, you can't be in the trees and see at all. Like the only place you can see is on the fairway.
Yeah. Yeah, if you look at coverage of hole 12, you'll see people were lined up on it's not even OB where they are. They're standing inbounds on the edge of the fairway. So if someone didn't hit a tree and they like hyzered on the drive, or if they hit a tree and kicked left, they were going to either hit a spectator or go over them.
Yeah.
Like, the line of spectators was in where play was.
Bob.
Yeah, so I want to bring this up real quick. There's so many times when I'm watching live coverage and I see like Macbeth or Wysocki, and I'm like, they have bad drive, kick way far into the woods, and I'm like, there's no way they scramble this. And then they pull off a shot that like a backhand roller through the woods, and I'm like, how? Like, how do these guys never land in a spot that they're just like, yeah, there's no line ever? There's always a line for them. And what I've come to realize since moving to Charlotte
I agree.
and like seeing them prep a course that wasn't ready for the Pro Tour and having it ready for the Pro Tour in 6 weeks, like they thin the woods out so much for spectators.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So much.
Insanely.
Like Nevin normal hole 1, which was hole 15, 16, 17, 18, 1. It was hole 5 on the Pro Tour. Like you couldn't see the fairway from the road. And they made it so you could walk along the road and see the entire hole.
Yeah.
Like they thin the woods out so much so that spectators can fit in. So like it's crazy that like, I mean, don't feel bad if you're in a spot where you're like, I don't have a lie. Macbeth would find a lie because the woods were thinned out for him.
There's always a line no matter what, Buckley. And
But I feel like they avoided doing that at Northwood, which is respectable. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah. I was
It's
gonna say
a big
I got
difference.
two things that I think of with that. One is Simon, right? There's no trees in the sky. Just
Yeah.
throw
Yeah,
over
well,
everything, right?
Sometimes you got to get to the skies. Sometimes there's
But-
trees between you and the sky.
Which that's what I immediately thought of. But then I can't remember where, but I know you guys remember Matty O pulling off like a
oh
patent
god, that was
pending,
gross.
right?
Yeah.
That was gross. Where
Like,
was that?
The roller?
Yeah, the roller through the woods, and he was like, "Wait, I did what?"
Yeah, and he got all the way down, and everybody's like, he's got no shot. He's got to pitch out. What's he gonna do?
Was it Champions Cup? Was that somewhere at IDGC? Was it some new hole they cut in?
No.
No.
I don't know. That also reminds me of back, I think it was like 2017, where Simon off the tee in Jonesboro went, instead of going, so it was like it goes straight left and then a slight finish right. He said, you know what, I'm just going to go straight left off the tee. There's a wall of trees right next to him the whole way, all like 400 feet down to the next turn. He just goes immediately left out into an open field and has a dead straight shot at the basket with the putter. And then the next day there was a Mando on that hole.
It's like hole 12 of the 2018 Jonesboro when Simon's on it or something.
Yeah.
And he goes into like 8's fairway. He throws over 8's fairway instead of throwing down the actual hole 12 or whatever hole
Yeah.
it was. And this like the first time and the only time I've ever seen it.
They put in a
Mando in.
mid-tournament.
Mid-tournament?
Mid-tournament.
Yeah, mid-tournament.
Between the first round and the second round, they added a Mando to the trade. It was a big controversy.
Yeah.
Very big.
Wait, so I get controversy, but if you did it at the end of a round, the next round everyone's still playing it now.
Yeah, technically you can
Because-
do it.
Yeah, but
Nobody
nobody
else-
got to. Okay, but per PDGA like standards, a course has to be set for a major or an elite series or whatever. Has to be set a week before the tournament, so the
Man,
pros have
those OB,
time to
everything.
practice it. So he spent all week practicing that line, and then they
Okay.
changed it and told him he couldn't do it.
Okay. That makes sense. And I remember something similar happening. Was it at Worlds where they didn't have the OB marked properly? And then, like, overnight they brought in, it
Yeah.
was Worlds.
Yep. Yeah.
Overnight
So
they brought in people to move lines and make
that's kind of a crappy situation because they thought it was defined enough. The pros complained, and then they came out and fixed it, and the pros complained that they changed the course. So it's like
Yeah. There's a no
they
way.
asked for it to be done, it got done, and then they still complained.
Right. Right. All right. So did you get where Matty O pulled off that insane shot?
So I'm trying to
All right,
find
so
it.
while you do that, we're going to let Marcus take his second to explain to the folks about Scrapyard and why that he believes that that's what it should be.
Oh.
Because I've been saying Scrapyard since the first time Bob and I showed up to Scrapyard, and Bob pulled out his drone to kind of get an aerial view, and it was just canopy. And I was MFing Bob for probably 10 minutes straight.
So
Like, I can't believe you brought me to this course.
For those,
before
for those who
Marcus,
don't know,
What was
Santos
that?
does not like woods golf and will complain about it. Then he'll play it, and then he'll like it.
I love this course. I
so-
love this course. That was Parma.
before Marcus goes into a scrapyard
Oh,
thing,
it was great.
Santos, I don't think I ever told you this, but like, I don't get down to scrapyard very often because it's like 50 minutes from my house, and I'm spoiled. And this
It's
is another thing I was
30
going to talk
minutes.
about in Buffalo is like
It's 30
Buffalo.
minutes,
There's a
yeah.
course 45 minutes. It's like, oh, it's no big deal. It's only 45 minutes away. I'm driving there all the time. Like in Charlotte, I don't drive 35 minutes to play disc golf. Like
You don't have to because you're going to pass 12 of them on your way.
I have to drive past Hornets Nest and Nevin to get.
Yeah, Hornets Nest is 5 minutes from my house. Hornets Nest is 5 minutes from my house, but I don't play it.
So anyway, so like the first time I went back to Scrapyard after we actually moved here. So first time we played Scrapyard, it was in May of 2020. We came down to scope out the area and see how it was.
Mhm.
And I played with Santos, and Santos at that time wasn't good.
No, I mean, I just started. I was maybe
What
a
do you
year in.
mean at the time?
And he's got a couple championships under his belt now. At
Uh,
least one.
He's the people's champ.
I
He's the
just played
people's
Hornets
champ.
Nest with the kid, and he might have gotten me by maybe 6 strokes, and 4 of those I lost on one hole because he like parked a 500 footer, and I played military golf that hole. But yeah,
Anyway, compared to Santos, I killed Scrapyard, destroyed it. So like I went
Yes.
back the next time at the Scrapyard and I played and I shot like probably like 14 over. And I was like, last time I played this course, I was like -6 or I was like fucking 5 down or something like that. And I like looked back at my UDisc score and I was like +7. like it felt like I
Really?
shot. It felt like I shot so well at Scrapyard because I was playing like against you and you were not having a good time.
would I have that on my
It did
UDisc?
not shoot good.
I couldn't find mine in yours Hornets Nest round. I don't think we recorded the score on that.
We didn't. We were just,
Yeah.
because we were flowing, we were playing good. I was hitting the lines. He was like
were.
impressed.
You were
We
making
took a
putts.
couple of the longer tees with tighter windows, and I said, yeah, I'll try those. But when I think it was 9 or 10, maybe 11. When
It
we
was
crossed
your blow up hole was
so-
11.
11. It was an absolute blow up hole. Just ping, 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 ping. And then I was like, this is why I don't like
I think
woods
you took
golf.
like an 8.
But after that blow up hole, I still did well. So it was one major blow up at Hornets Nest, which I'm happy with.
Yeah. You played very well.
So May 16th, 2020, I shot +1 at Scrapyard Shorts. Santos shot +10. And to this day,
Oh, shorts.
it is the only Scrapyard Shorts round I have recorded in my UDisc.
What year was that?
2020, May.
16,
That's when
2020.
That's when we first tried to play Dry Creek, and I couldn't.
Yep.
2020. So
That was
yeah,
that was
I
the
just
craziest
started
3
playing.
weeks. That was the craziest 3 weeks because I had vacation scheduled and Like after I had already scheduled my vacation, my stepmom passed away, and I got like bereavement time. It was like a week bereavement time, and I asked if I could take it after my vacation because I was told no, so I canceled my vacation, took my bereavement, and then I took my vacation after it. So I had 2 weeks off. I went from Buffalo to
We went
Charlotte,
to, yep.
back to Buffalo to Massachusetts to play Maple Hill, back to Buffalo, and then to Detroit to play.
We went to Ohio to play
Toboggan.
Toboggan, and then went all the way,
Yeah.
and then we played. We
It was
played. What was the other? What's the awesome course in Ohio? Punderson.
Yeah,
Punderson.
Punderson. Yeah.
Awesome.
Also, of course. Yeah. But anyways, let's move along. What was it that you saw when you went down there that you said this is why?
Like it just, I know I like Massachusetts disc golf is woods, but if you play the right courses, there's fair lines, nice fairways, well manicured, well beat in, and that's what you get in.
What's wrong with a wooden course if the fairway is 20 feet wide?
Yeah, but I mean, okay, so I think Clement Farms and like that
Dude,
has like
I love Clement.
it has like 20-foot wide fairways, but like so like you want to shoot like 10 down. Like a good round is like a great round is like 10, 12 down. But it feels like a fair like you feel like you should be able to do that. Every hole is attainable. I think that's the same thing at Scrapyard and at some of the other courses.
I don't think I've come anywhere close to that.
No, God no. I'm saying like 1,000 rated is good round. Like 1,000 rated is
No,
like
yeah.
12 down.
I want to see what's my best round at Clement Farm.
Yeah, I can figure out what mine is too, but mine's probably like 5 or 6. But
My best round at Clement Farm was June 30th, 2018. It was -7.
yeah, see, so like that's probably like 970. That's a great round. You feel great about it. Sorry, I'm also trying to find my Clement, see if I have stats.
Clement Farm. So, funny story about Clement Farm. I grew up in Haverhill, Massachusetts, and I went to middle school in Haverhill, Massachusetts, and I lived in like the middle of the city, and I was sheltered, and I wasn't allowed out. Like never left my backyard, and I went to go visit my mom once. Drove from New York to Massachusetts to go visit my mom, and I'm looking at UDIS to find courses, and I see that there's a course in Haverhill, and I'm like, where? Like Haverhill's a city. Where did they put a course? I had no idea that side of Haverhill even existed. So like I went and played it, and I was like, this is incredible. And I tell anybody that travels long distance to play Maple Hill, if you are going to play Maple Hill and you're spending multiple days at Maple Hill, you're making a mistake. Like
I agree.
there are so many good courses
along the way
in Massachusetts in general. Like, don't get me wrong, Maple Hill deserves an entire day. Like,
Yeah.
if you can get 2
I love
rounds
it.
in, play 2 rounds on 2 different layouts, any layouts, they're all good. But like, take time to go to 501, to go to any of the dam courses. Like,
Yeah.
the fact that Massachusetts and New Hampshire and that whole area allows disc golf courses to be on dams is incredible because it makes for such fun disc golf.
it does.
And like Clement Farm, and there's a bunch of courses in New Hampshire and Vermont that are worth like hitting. Like it's even lower, even like southern Vermont. You don't have to go all the way up to Smuggler's Notch. I mean, I haven't been yet. It's like 4 hours from my mom, and I should go, but I haven't made the trip
Rooster Ridge is something to
yet,
see.
but
Rooster Ridge is something to see.
eventually I'll go.
So did you get your scrapyard in? Did you finish?
No. So
point?
first off, I shot 8,
Oh, sorry.
8 down at Clement on the A position, 7 down on the B positions. I don't remember which one's the longs. I think the B's are the longs. So 7 down on the longs is what best I did. Yeah, scrapyard. You have these. They're not wide fairways. But they're fair. They're very fair, and they're real disc golf shots. They're disc golf shapes. Sometimes
They're not Chestnut Ridge.
No, it's not just that ridge. Exactly. Where there's someone just stuck a basket and a tee pad in the woods, and they don't care how you're gonna get there.
That is so Chestnut Ridge.
Like,
I disagree greatly.
If the best
disagree
shot is a
greatly.
thumber, that's not a good hole.
What
right.
was it though?
8.
If you have to,
Disagree.
it's a
Disagree.
left
It's
thumber.
if it's safer to tee from the dirt next to the
Okay,
tee
well,
pad,
Okay, I will give you that
That's a
tee pads
thing.
are not the best. The
That's a
tee
thing.
pads are not great.
But
no.
yeah, scrapyard is what disc golf is meant to be. Like that is
Yeah.
absolutely how the game was designed. Like you could play the course with a lid, and you would have fun.
Yeah.
You'd have a great time with a lid down there from the shorts. Probably I played the longs.
If you're
You
good,
got
well,
2 water carries. You got elevation.
Yeah.
You got woods
You got
with
elevated baskets. You got
So,
different slope greens. It's
um, that's one thing that Charlotte is missing is like Charlotte doesn't have water carries. They have Hornets Nest Hole 2, which is my wedding venue. And then
but that's only in play for
Yeah, it's
the
not in
main
all
it's only
event.
in play for
and then
events, so
they
you
have
can't. You don't.
Scrapyard, Hole 8, and Hole 9. And other than that, they do not have water carries. They
Really?
don't. They
I
No.
thought I
don't
just
want.
haven't played
They
enough.
don't. They don't. They know that disc golfers have no self control, and that they don't want people in the water.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
it's not like Buffalo. Where you can go swimming at Ellicott Creek. You can go swimming in the creeks at Chestnut Ridge. You can go at Newfane.
Like Como.
It's not like
Wilson.
Buckley taking everything off to go in to get water at LVC and Justin's on the other side of the water.
It's like Justin's like,
Screaming at the top of it. Nobody knew Bob was in the water until
What do you
Justin
mean? This
yelled
man
at him.
turned the blue water brown.
okay, okay. This was literally me at LVC. There's no rules, and Justin's like, "There's one rule. Stay out of the water."
There was one rule. We check in for our players meeting, and like we just check in to get our players packs and all that. And they go, do whatever you want, like play however you want. You can rent the golf carts, play however many you want. They go, just don't go in the water for this. If you can see it, you can reach it with your retriever, your hand, feel free. Just don't like get in. And but we first day we're there. We go and play Innova. When we get to the first 2 water holes, a short little par 3. No one lost a disc.
It was the disc I aced with. I threw the disc I
Let me,
aced with
let
in
me
the
get
water
there.
right after acing
Let
with
me
it.
get there. And so we had a big group. We had about like 12 people with us. So we split into a couple groups. We had 2 groups on Innova and 1 somewhere else. I was in front, and Buckley was in a group behind me. So we played the 2 water holes. I don't think anyone lost a disc. I think maybe I did, and I just didn't. It was so far out that I wasn't even going to look for it.
It was the
I get
short
to the
par
next hole.
short par 4 that Garrett Gerthy aced. That's
Yes.
the hole.
Yeah, that hole. So I'm on the next tee, which is like on the other side of that little pond. And I see Buckley throw in. I see what disc it is. I was like, oh, he's going to be upset about that. Maybe he'll be able to see it. So I throw my drive, and then we start walking down to the basket. And here I see Buckley taking his shoes and socks off. And he's in the water. And like he's already got both legs in the water. And I'm just like, Buckley, get out of the water.
No.
Like a glass of water, like,
They made it very clear
screamed
that if they
so
see you in the
loud.
water, you're disqualified.
You screamed so loud. Like nobody knew Buckley was in the water until you screamed. That's how loud you were across
there
the
were
water.
2 cards on the tee of that hole. There were 2 cards on the tee of that hole. Yes,
They
people
weren't
knew.
gonna say anything. Wait, you did get the disc though, right, Buckley?
Yeah, and then I threw it in the water at Sherwin's, I think, or Bond. It might have been Bond.
All right.
It was
I would say
Bond.
the Shorewinds, the water is the cliff of Lake Ontario.
It was probably Bond Lake me trying to skip off the water.
Right.
Also.
Yeah, I believe that.
All right. In the interest of time, we got to move things along just a little bit more. We've covered a lot of areas, but what I want to discuss on the Charlotte versus WNY side, tell us how you run your club there. Is it a club, multiple clubs? You're so large. How do you maintain that?
One club, really. It's the biggest disc golf club in the world with the most active members. It's February, and we already have 300 plus members that are signed up for the club membership.
How many were there last year? There were like
I don't know. I'm not.
I thought there was like close to 700 or something like that.
Yeah, usually like the tags get up to like almost 800.
Oh, the tags. Just that many.
So you have way more members because not everybody gets a tag, right?
No, everybody gets a tag.
But everyone uses them.
Like the tags kind of get randomized. Like they'll hand a stack of tags to all the vendors to sell, and like they don't necessarily hand them out in order.
Right.
So like usually we might get up to 860 in tags, but like 750 through 820 might be in a box at a vendor's place.
Right.
What do you think of this area? 300-400?
In the club, not even.
No.
No, you rarely get up to 100 in the WNY DPT
Really?
club.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So the crazy difference is that Charlotte Disc Golf Club, I'm going to say this loosely because I don't know exactly the details of it, but the Charlotte Disc Golf Club like owns the courses. They're in public parks that are mostly Mecklenburg County parks, but they have what they call an MOA or a memorandum of agreement with the parks that they don't have to pay fees to run tournaments there or close the course down. As long as the disc golf club is volunteering to maintain the courses. Then
Are they
tournaments
allowed
run.
to use power tools when they maintain the courses?
Certain
Yes.
parts.
Yep. We can use saws and chainsaws and everything.
Okay, so I mean, I know, and Bob,
But we also have like an extensive insurance program. Like
Yeah,
like
you have to sign waivers and stuff to be a
their insurance
volunteer.
plan is their insurance plan is great.
and your club's
Um,
big enough to warrant having that. Like, you run
yes.
enough tournaments under that insurance.
Yes,
It's worth
there
it.
was somebody who like cut the tip of his finger off with a saw or something like, and like their insurance covered it or something like
Huh.
that. So,
So,
I
go
think it
ahead,
was
finish.
part of the split or something. Anyway, so the Charlotte Disc Golf Club has permission to run tournaments for free on all of the courses. As a TD, when I run a tournament, I have to pay the Charlotte Disc Golf Club $4 per player for a C tier. For a B tier, it's 5. I think for an A tier, it's 6 or something like that. So that's how the club makes money. So I mean, last club meeting I went to, I think they said they had like $60,000 in the bank. That money goes towards every time a mower breaks down, anytime new baskets are needed at a course and the baskets get damaged, or
Wait, tell me more about the mower thing. Like, how does
Dude,
that?
there's so much I want to unpack here.
Yeah, the mower.
There's
Like,
so much
you
I
have
need
your
to
own
unpack.
equipment.
yeah. So like each course has its own course ambassador.
That's what I was going to ask you next because we have stewards, right?
Yeah.
We're starting.
Essentially the same thing.
Yeah, we're starting to have some stewards, and we have people responsible for the work days.
Yeah, so we have like a maintenance god, I'll say. he's like the maintenance manager. He's in charge of all of it, but he is the hardest working human being I've ever met in my life. His name's Mark Uther. Um,
And this guy is doing this on a voluntary basis.
yes. He's all, and I don't understand how he does it. Like he is an absolute workhorse.
Amazing.
We tried getting Jeff Spring to give us an answer on what course he wanted to run it the finale on in March of last year, and he didn't give us. He just was not responding to emails, and he didn't give us an answer. We sent him probably 5 or 6 different options, and Mark Huther had Renaissance Park reserved, like so nothing could be booked there until July 1st. And when July 1st came and hit, and we hadn't heard back from Jeff Spring yet, he was like, I have to pull the reservation because the park wants to book volleyball tournaments and stuff like this. And finally, Jeff Spring gave Mark Huther 6 weeks to turn Nevin into a championship tier course.
Nevin, which was one of the wooded courses in Charlotte.
Yeah, which if it was played the way that course was like normally is, would have been probably 7 to 8 strokes easier. And he went out and he put an entire new hole in 2 days, and the pros played it a week and a half later and had no idea that it was a brand new hole. Wow. Like, it was crazy.
It looked like it was worn in for years.
Yeah,
wow.
it's wild. And
So
he's
does
like
he have the autonomy to do that, or was it, because we have to walk with the parks, we have to walk, you know what I mean? There has to be like votes.
At this point, Hughes' relationship with the parks is like they trust him. Like,
Yeah,
I'm sure
So
giant
you
projects.
pretty much have a parks division for your club.
Pretty much. He'd be the head of it.
Yeah, and so each course has its own ambassador. Mm-hmm. That ambassador is in charge of, like, if a tree gets cut down, they'll remove it. Mowing. So the parks and rec, every person that's come down from Buffalo, I always hear, I can't believe how well the courses are maintained by Parks and Rec. They're not. The main areas, if it's a wide open field hole, Parks will hit it with the mower. Once you get into the woods,
that's our domain.
Elevation and stuff, they don't touch it. It has to be weed whacked by us, mowed by us. We spray for poison ivy, and all that stuff. So,
wow,
and you'd think, okay, we have like 800 people in our club that many hands make like work, but it's I'm in a group chat with all the course directors, and let me see.
Well, he looks that up. Shout out to the guy who runs our Niagara County Parks, Frank
Nab.
Frank is a boss.
Frank,
Yeah.
Or no, not Frank Nab.
not Nab, but
Rotella.
Frank Rotella. Yeah. So we can't maintain the parks like they're doing, but Frank does an amazing job at his parks that he's responsible for. That crew is always top notch on it. If there's fallen trees or whatever, he takes the design to a new level with the rocks. Like he's really awesome at it.
Yeah, Niagara County Parks is
Erie
great.
County is a bit of a struggle, but that's why we have the work crews and we try to get more volunteers out. I have not in the past been that active because of my back injury. I didn't do too much, but my closest course is ECP, so I started joining that one last year to get involved. And my sons and I did a lot of work with Jimmy to install some holes. We still have some more to do, so it always starts with the volunteers and the people who can help. Because you'll have way more people complaining, and you don't see those people at a work day. Plain and
So
simple.
there's 34 people in our course director group chat.
So there's 34 courses with directors, is what you're saying?
So not everyone is designated to a course, but that's like those 34 people are the main people
Yeah.
that maintain, that do all the work days, that do everything. So
Do you think a communication issue with your club page or something?
absolutely not. They post on Facebook 3 times.
Yeah, so
They-
it's just people just want to play and get out of the way.
I said this on a meeting with UDisc the other day. Charlotte Disc Golf has a Discord. There's a lot of people that don't like Facebook. I always said, like, if I wasn't a tournament director, I wouldn't be on Facebook because I get sucked into Facebook.
Yeah.
But I need to be able to advertise my tournaments on Facebook and stuff. So for the people that don't want to be on Facebook, we have a Discord, and
Nice.
there's like 1,100 people in our Charlotte Discord.
And you're
And-
not getting that 10% of that right there would help you.
And the admins of the Discord are incredible. I'll make a post on Facebook and say, "Hey, I'm running this tournament on this day. Like, registration opens this day." And then I'll click post. I'll go make a sandwich, come back, go to post it on Discord, and it's already posted there.
Amazing.
Like, the admins already copy and pasted my paste.
Nice.
Or, copy and pasted my post.
Copy and posted my paste. That works
So-
too.
Okay, so there's more. I still want to have things to unpack, and we're at an hour, but I think we're just going to keep going. At least for this segment.
Sometimes it's okay, you know.
You can make a two-part
You
episode.
get me on
You
a,
make a two-part episode.
podcast, and I won't shut up. So
Yeah.
Brody
it's
did
okay.
that. He called it his hour-long show, but he went way past.
Yeah,
If you put Buckley on a podcast, we could be here until 2 a.m.
that's
No.
okay. I can talk all
I
night
should
too.
You could,
realistically,
but I
I should
can't.
have my own podcast, but I have too many things going on.
I'm too old
so.
for this.
So, you say two things jumped out from your last statement of your last list was $60,000 in the bank. That's a ridiculous amount of money just to have. That's awesome. And club meetings.
Mhm.
We don't have club meetings. I know Lehigh Valley Disc Golf Club has club meetings. They recently became a 503c charity. You know, whatever, nonprofit, 503c nonprofit. Are you guys? Do you know about? Are you?
They're a nonprofit as well.
Yeah.
Yes.
A quick
So
But
there was
again,
a lot of shade. There was a lot of shade thrown when WNYDGC started up because they were a for-profit business, and the only reason they signed up as a for-profit instead of a nonprofit is because Sam and Holke had this big goal of buying property for the club to have like a headquarters and to have their
Okay.
own course and stuff. So because like that was their goal, like they had to
Right.
sign up as a for-profit.
but
And
you
that was
would be
very
able to do that as a
publicized goal,
not-for-profit because you're saving everything that would normally be a profit. You're just stacking that away to buy something
Yeah, I don't know. I don't
and
know
actually get the tax breaks for purchasing.
I don't know the like legality of it. I just know
Right.
that
That's why.
their goal.
I remember
That was
Sam
the-
starting to tell me something like that with the plans.
And also
Um,
Marcus.
they used to do a WNYDC club meeting, and they would
Yeah,
go
that's what I
over
was trying to say.
financials, and they would like it was usually at Say Cheese on Grand Island, and they would tell us like, hey, this is how much we took in from memberships, this is how much we took in from tournament fees, this is what we spent it on, this is what we have in the bank, stuff like that. And I'll tell you right now, it was nowhere ever close to what.
No.
No, I'm sure it's
Right.
You
not.
don't have
I,
the numbers.
I almost puked when I went to the first like Charlotte club members and they said the amount that they had in the bank. I'm like, what the hell? Like that's absurd.
Yeah.
But I mean, they do good with it. They're at the point where they have they had, I think it was a church or a community center or something like that came to them and they wanted to put a course in, but they didn't have the money to put the course. So Charlotte Disc Golf Club put up the money, And don't take this verbatim because I could. It's like through the grapevine, so I don't know if 100% of this is true. But they came to them, Charlotte Disc Golf Club, bought everything they needed for the course, and then now they have an invoice with the church or whatever, and the
Right.
church will pay them eventually. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
they can-
So I don't know. Did you have a point?
No.
That you okay.
Go ahead.
A couple things from this is one. I think it's just a good idea to bring in. Maybe we'll see if we can get someone from WNY. Maybe Jimmy, because he's on NRDG and WNY DGC, so he has more intimate knowledge of the workings, and he can tell us kind of how they are doing things if it matters to whoever's watching. Because there's boards. Like, I don't know the intimate details. You probably, Bob, I don't know if it's changed since you left, but there's a board on one, like NRDG, and then you have like a 3-member board maybe for WNY. The president, the vice president.
they tried to go bigger, but they kept having people that were flaky or
Yeah, which
could-
It wasn't ready for what they were trying to
they're
do.
doing it now though. I did see they posted for a somebody in charge of membership and some other things. So
We used to have a treasurer and all that. We used to have a treasurer, president, of people with different roles.
Jimmy now he's got 2 kids, right? And he's New York State coordinator.
Yeah.
He's a little lower on time. He still coordinates a lot of
Jimmy being New York State coordinator is probably the best thing that ever happened because he has a true passion for disc golf. He tries to think of everything logistically, and he wants to be involved, but he can't play or run tournaments as much as he'd like. So
Right.
him being able to sit behind a desk and coordinate and stuff like that is like the perfect job for him.
And that's how we ended up getting involved with the ECP thing when he was asking for it, because he still coordinates it, right? So he still gets the people together, but it was just the time of the year where I just, like, usually being a retailer, I was like, I'll give you discs, I'll give you, gift cards, I'll give you something towards the people who do the work, but that just wasn't enough. I didn't see that we had enough people doing the work.
He still runs the New York Team Challenge, which I started up, which is nice.
No, he doesn't. I do.
Oh, you did? Oh, yeah. I forgot you took it over.
So
Wow. Get your facts right, Buckley.
Jimmy's the tiebreaker for New York Team Challenge. In case we ever have a disagreement, He's the tiebreaker.
does he do
Me
the
and
point
Katie
series,
wrote
or
the
does that
rules.
move to someone?
I don't know who does point series.
I'm pretty sure he brought the point series idea here, but somebody else might be doing it now.
Yeah, I don't know.
Jimmy was the original creator of the point series.
Who was?
Jimmy.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, Jimmy was.
Yeah, I mean, he's a man of many talents. He's
very-
good for the
he really
sport
does.
in general. He just has less time. So
Yeah.
he's trying to look for that help or whatever. But again, I'll see if we can get him on here so
Yeah, I
he
would
can
love to
he
get
can
Jimmy on here.
speak
That'd be
to
great.
some of it. But that is such a fantastic idea. It's the parks that won't let it though, right? Because Erie County's one that fights
Yeah,
them the most.
it's the park. Yeah, it's 100% the park. Like,
There's
It's
a
so
rule about
frustrating.
taking work away from the union members.
yeah, because in North Carolina, unions are legal.
But no, here's the thing. You can do the work. You can take down 5 trees in that section, and you can remove them, and you can make it super clear.
So
Okay, that's not taking work from the union.
It's also
but
the size of the
using
tree.
an electric one
It's
or
gas-powered.
or gas-powered one
Well, it's anything powered.
is taking
really.
away the work.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
There's a couple parks out here that do the same. There's a park in Salisbury, North Carolina, Ellis Park. My buddy Rusty went out there with a weed whacker because Ellis Park. I haven't played it myself, but I've heard that it has high potential, but the park just doesn't care about it. And my buddy Rusty went out there with a weed whacker to take care of one of the fairways, and he said he got run up to by a park worker that like told him, "Hey, you're not allowed to use like gas powered anything in the park." And he's like, "Well, somebody has to maintain this park because you guys aren't." And they're like, "Oh, well, that doesn't matter. You're not allowed to do that." So
Yeah, I mean, that's the problem we run into here.
the county park, Rowan County, is, from what I've heard, is a pain in the butt to work with.
Yep.
When I get this course put in at Salisbury Community Park, luckily it's town owned and not county owned because the town has been awesome to work with. They've let us do pretty much anything we need to do. He did say that when we go to install the tee pads and the baskets, we'll need to hire somebody, which I might just have him hire Chain Reactions because his dad is the one who helped me like do as much as we've done out there already. But yeah, I'll talk about more about Salisbury at a different time.
Yeah,
Yep.
absolutely. We'll have you back on for sure. But
Yeah,
yeah,
that's gonna be a new course out here, which is gonna be a lot different than what most Charlotte courses are.
The way we have it laid out right now, it'll be the largest course in North Carolina, largest 18-hole course in North Carolina, because the Diavallo is longer, but it's like 21 holes.
Oh, okay. But yeah, I mean, it's so hard to work with Erie County Parks. Like
Yep.
you know that road that goes up hole 6 at Emory?
Yeah.
Yeah, we took a pickaxe through that road by hand
Yikes.
to put a tee pad in.
Yikes.
Yeah.
Yikes. That is, yeah. They're all about preservation.
Yeah.
But that road is a sinkhole. And they're like,
Yeah.
oh, we don't
It's
want you
I
guys
washed
no,
out.
No. I dug the drain back out, so now it goes back under the road again. I dug it out.
Yeah.
So it
So
flows
But
directly.
still,
For
there's
those
still
of
a
you
big
that don't
hole on
know-
the left side of that road.
Marcus is a steward or whatever for
I'm a steward
Como.
for Como,
Did a
currently.
ton of work at Como, and then he joined
Matt.
the Hess family.
and,
Okay,
and,
it was
and Sam Border. Just-
Sam
you can't
Border.
forget Border.
He's always there, and he's providing the Bobcat, putting in work.
Yeah.
But it was
Not me.
the reason it's called the Hess family is just because you don't see it that often,
That wasn't
right?
funny,
so Matt
Bob.
puts in the work, but his mom and dad are out there putting in the work, like just middle of a fairway, cleaning it up, and
Okay.
Mama Hess is a saint.
Yeah.
Yeah, please give a quick
so
shout out to the Hess
we
family.
saw that while we were playing through one time, and I think it was maybe Junior in it, or Christian. Like, why is somebody raking that fairway like that we're about to throw on? And I was like, that's the Hess family doing work in the parks that the park won't do. And I said, take note, because that's what you should do if you're going to always play. Put in a little bit of work.
And his parents don't even play.
No, they don't.
No,
No.
they just support their son and what he wants to do.
When
And getting
Emery hole
those tee
6
pads in. What?
I would say Emory Hole 6, that road reminds me of like what roads would look like in a zombie apocalypse.
Yes.
Oh yeah. No,
yes.
yeah. That's a great description. If you think of like what a road looks like,
And if
In
we
the
get the
zombie apocalypse.
pictures from there, we'll put some in here so you can see
Show
what we're
you
talking
pictures,
about.
Yeah, we have
It was, yeah. But
It's
But they
Oh.
told us that they wanted to preserve that road in case they wanted to take vehicles down it.
in a
There's no
matter of
shot.
a season, Emory
No
went
shot.
from man, this could be a really good course to this is an amazing course. We've got
For the
tee
past
pads.
10 years, me and Gambini have said Emory has so much potential. So much potential. We said the same thing about Simon Lazat. So much potential.
Well,
And we
look,
were-
now they're both shining. Emory and
And then we
Lazat.
both moved away and we were like, oh, we're giving up on it. Like, Emory is not ever going to be what we think it could be. Eric McCabe said it was in his top 5 if it got tee pads, but it never got the love because Erie County wouldn't allow us to do it. And then finally, almost within the same year, Emory and Simon Lazat both hit their potential.
Yeah. And so you guys were grinding, right? Putting in. Bob came
Bob came and hosted
from
his own
Charlotte
workday.
and hosted his own workday at Emory.
I had a week vacation and I
a week
spent an
vacation.
entire day at Emory doing work.
So that shows you the grind the guy puts
Yeah.
in. So gold tees got put in, right?
Golds and whites.
Golds and whites got put in,
That was a
and
smart
I
decision.
do know that Hess said something about reds are getting ready to
We want to
be
do reds
discussed.
next.
Okay,
Reds is what we want to do next. We don't really care about the blues as much.
and there has been conversation. No, okay, we're not going
That's
to talk
getting
about
cut.
that. That's getting cut. Why
Do
is
we
that
wanna
getting cut?
restart
I
the
thought
meeting?
they got the okay. They didn't get the okay.
we haven't done it yet.
What do you mean?
It's super down low. And we're back.
all right.
It's the little things, right?
Santos loves it.
It's the little
when
things.
when I was trying to do an Eagle Scout project, for those who don't know, I am an Eagle Scout. So yeah.
Nerd.
I was trying when I was trying to do a project, I was trying to do it at Chestnut Ridge because I was there all the time. I wanted to put in bridges. I wanted to just do I asked the park, like, what do you guys do down at this park that would benefit? And they said we will not let you do anything. I said okay. That was just I would have done anything. I had a bunch of crew. I had a whole crew of Boy Scouts that were willing to build bridges, do anything for that course, for any part of the park that they wanted. We ended up just having a cleanup day, just not even part of the Eagle Scout project. We just had a cleanup day, and the park wouldn't let us take the trash to their own dumpsters. We had to take it to a different dumpster off the park.
Jesus.
See, that's funny that you bring up Boy Scouts. 'cause I
All
was-
garbage cans on some of the holes, and they said we're not going to come get the garbage.
Jesus.
One of them was on hole 1, and they said they wouldn't go get the garbage. The one
Do they
right
not normally get the garbage?
No, they don't
Who
get
takes
garbage.
care of
Why-
it normally?
Why do you? No one takes care of it. If you go to the course, the garbage is there. It's on the course. They don't take it off.
See, that's funny. I was just talking to my friends on my way back up from visiting you guys. I stopped in Pennsylvania,
Mm-hmm.
and we were just talking about getting work done. And they said we were saying something. We need to build a bridge on this hole, and one of them says, "Oh, we'll get the Boy Scouts to do it," because they're in Pennsylvania in Lehigh Valley. There are so many
We do that a lot in Charlotte too.
That's a
Bradford.
very
They
common
did it
thing.
in Bond. They did the bridge at Bond.
Almost every, it's just Erie County. Almost
Boy Scouts?
every,
Yeah.
No.
yeah. Boy Scouts,
Santos.
there are courses in Niagara County that Boy Scouts have built bridges and help
Yeah.
build tee pads and benches and stuff like that. That's very common. Erie County just doesn't want help to do stuff, but they won't do the work themselves.
Yeah, they
Erie
won't do
County
it
is one of the worst counties to work with on a disc golf front or even just volunteer front.
Yeah.
Santos, I'm gonna have you. I'm gonna send you a couple pictures, talking about the work ethic of Mark Huther. These two pictures that I'm gonna send Santos that I'll make sure he puts up. These are two bridges at R.L. Smith, which we played a couple weeks ago, right? These bridges were built in literally like 2 days.
Did he
Like-
do the bridge at Bradford too?
No,
We'll throw
was-
that picture in there though because
Yeah,
that's an
right
awesome
here.
bridge.
Yeah,
That's a
Charlotte has-
community bridge that was done.
Buffalo doesn't have bridges in places that need bridges, but Charlotte has bridges in places you don't need bridges.
No, there are excess bridges. Many excess
Yes,
bridges.
I
They're
do
awesome.
remember that. There's like little runoffs that are 8 inches deep and just kind of wind through, and there's this nice bridge.
You might get a muddy shoe, and there's
Yeah.
like a 20-foot bridge.
It's awesome.
Yeah, Santos, check those pictures out. I just sent you.
Marcus, tell us how much you love playing on that bridge at hole
Oh, dude.
9 at Bond.
Yeah, 9 at Bond. There's a bridge with 4-foot tall handrails on it that just like
Okay, that bridge needs to be on hole 4.
yeah.
On hole 4? Oh,
Yeah,
across
from
Said
the
it
blues.
since,
Yeah, from
I've
the
said
blues.
it since the day it went in.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, there you go.
Marcus
I lost track of what hole
is
4 was
kind of
supposed to
hurt
be.
because of a ruling. Was it a
Yeah,
ruling in
well-
advance, or is it just a standing?
Well,
No, it
Jeremy
was a
doesn't get-
railing.
There's a
The railing,
4-foot
you can't move it,
railing.
and you
on
can
this
play from
bridge.
either under the bridge or on the bridge. It's your choice.
Well, no.
Well,
Listen,
I multiple times have asked, do you get relief from this bridge? Because it's man-made and it's impossible to throw from. And I've gotten
No,
told
it's
every
part of the
time.
course. Part of the course. It's like if you have a bench,
So at
But
Worlds,
you could
course.
designate it as you could designate it as casual.
but you
are you on the bridge or under it?
Either one.
He wants it.
If
He
you're on
wants
the
it
bridge,
to
you
keep.
take it from it. If so, at
Also
Worlds,
treat like an OB relief, but it's
at M Worlds this past year, there were like one course had bridges on it that you couldn't get your foot under. Another course
Well, you
had
need the rule of
bridges
verticality.
like old like you think about like troll bridges, like it's like brick and it has like the arch under it.
Yeah.
And they told us if you land under that bridge, you have to take it from under that bridge.
But
And it's a
don't you get
pitch
the rule-
out. There's no because you can stand under the bridge. You can't take it above it. You can stand under the bridge, so you have to take it from under there. I landed under there on hole 1 of I forget what the name of the course, but like if I was on top of the bridge, I would have had a putt for birdie, and nobody birdied that the entire weekend. But I was under the bridge.
go ahead with the rule of verticality that you want.
Yeah,
to
so
It's
the
not
rule
a
of
thing.
verticality-
It's not a real thing.
What do you mean?
The
It's
rule
not
of
a real thing?
verticality isn't a real thing.
What do you mean it's not a real thing?
It's a rule that disc golfers made up. It's not in the rule book. I promise you.
and he's the man we call when we have a question about rule
I'm gonna
books.
say this. I completely thought the rule of verticality was a thing, and I was on tour. I have talked a lot about it with most pros, and we've had conversations. Like I had a guy land under a picnic table, and it was on the course, part of the course, and he stood on the picnic table, and it was no problem. But I trust Bob with anything disc golf related with rules. I will not question Bob whatsoever.
But you're
Yeah,
but
no, it's not a real rule.
but
Jones.
but you
Get Bobby
did
Jones.
see
Get
pros
Bobby
doing
Jones
it.
on the podcast to tell stories.
Please,
And
if
then
you,
ask
get,
him-
if you get Bobby Jones on the podcast, I need to be the co-star. I need to be with that.
And then ask him about the rule of verticality.
Yeah, no, it's just not real. So
That's-
that's
um,
good to know.
We need to do Bobby Jones, Zog, and me on a podcast. That'd be
While we're talking rules, now I do want to say one of the earlier rules that I learned from you guys that people just don't use enough, and I was at Bond yesterday, hole 4, Paul used it, and then hole 6 is the one where everybody should use it. When you go OB, and you're allowed to take your lie in a direct path to the basket as far back as you need to.
The reason people don't do that is because that only became a rule when you started playing.
No, but I'm saying a lot of new people now don't know this rule, and they don't
Yeah, because
do
it's
it.
super obscure.
Yeah, but it's very necessary for this area.
Yeah, for a
Specifically,
couple spots at Bond.
At Bond is where it applies. So if you go out of bounds early on 4, trying to make that curve and up the hill and around, right?
As far as you want.
Were you with me? No, maybe it was somebody was with me where we saw someone attempt to go over those woods 3 times in a row.
Yeah, you told me about that.
Three
It was
times in a row, the
Pittsburgh.
card in front of us. They threw it, they went to walk around, they went to see, then they came back, threw it again. Every time, they didn't even think to pitch to the corner, but they just kept trying to go over. So I'm
Sounds like
like,
something
if you're
I'd do.
trying to go over, you can go back. But they didn't know the rule. So I'm like, I thought everybody knew this rule. It's not that common. People don't. So I just want the people to know. If you're out of bounds, okay, actually hole 4 is a little bit of an issue with me because when people tee off, right, and the basket's over here, when people take their second shot to go up the hill, they take their lie going this way.
It messes their life. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
common.
it's common here. Actually, we just played Angry Beaver, that dogleg hole. I think it's 14,
Yeah.
where
Yeah.
you have a Mando on it, but it's literally a horseshoe. Like the basket is
Yeah.
perfectly level, and then the fairway's way up here.
Yep.
It's very common for that to happen.
It
Right.
happens
So-
on tour too. You watch it on tour, and people are like,
Yeah.
"Oh, the basket's over there. Is my foot good?" And like
Yeah.
they talk about it all the time. Like they're
So
Well, and then
no
you
one's
can-
going to call you on it here, right?
No.
I mean, especially
I-
AMs. But
I'm not going to call someone.
But
So
I
if
do
there's-
want to instruct and teach them that rule to make sure if somebody ever calls them, look, the basket's over here. So your lie and your foot should be on this side.
so if there's a Mando, you play
To the Mando.
I was going
to
to bring
the
that up
Mando
too.
until you're past it.
Right. So the rule is if you go OB on that tree line, let's say, and you want to get around that corner and the basket's over there, take a direct line from your lie where the basket is. You go as far back as you need to until you get clearance to make that turn. You don't have to take that meter from the OB. It's
Well,
only if you go OB. It's not if you land near the OB. If you land near it and you're in bounds, you can take that meter. But if you actually go out of bounds, then you can take your lie as far back as you need.
That's the same thing with the new rule where you can take your meter in any angle.
Yes.
If you land near the OB, you have to take it a meter straight back.
Perpendicular.
If you go
Perpendicular
OB, you can take it at any angle.
Right. And then it also matters at hole 6 because a lot of people hit those trees early. You're going out of bounds, and then you're trying to go through the trees or around them again to get there. Take that lie, go back into the
That's
field,
why
and get yourself a
it's
better
important
position.
that I think it's important that the short tee is used as a drop zone on 6. I mean, unless you go OB from the short
No,
tee.
for hole 6 from blues,
I would disagree with
whites
that.
are short tees, but plenty of people go OB from the white
From the
tees.
whites then.
Yeah,
And they
I was
don't
gonna
have
say,
the
from
benefit of a
blue-
drop zone.
From the blue, though, it's very hard to tell exactly where somebody went out of bounds.
Yep.
I
it is.
still
Okay.
think, like Buckley, if you only have open and advance playing from the blue tees most of the time, at least during a rated round or a tournament round, most of MP or MA1 players are throwing minimum 100 or 200 feet past that white tee.
But it's difficult to tell exactly
OB.
where they went out of bounds.
Where
So
it
I
went
mean,
out.
unless,
That's what I'm
unless
saying.
you
If
have
it's
a waiver,
OB, if it's OB, Buckley, you're saying take the white tee pad as your drop zone. Justin, you're saying if I went 100 feet past that, I want to go up there.
Yeah, I'd rather
Yes.
go to that 100 feet.
So,
I understand, like,
I mean,
it's not a
this is
bad
another
idea.
rule that a lot of people don't know that I've called TDs on it a lot is in order to force somebody to a drop zone, they need a waiver.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
if they do on hole 6 use white tee as a waiver, or as a drop zone, sorry, and they don't have a waiver, you do have the right to take it where your disc went out of bounds. However, on that hole specifically, sometimes it's hard to tell where exactly your disc went out of bounds. Because sometimes they go out of bounds so high in the air that like you can't really tell. Okay, here's my
I lost
loss.
the disc on that hole. Yeah, it's
So, quick question about the distance, because I just played yesterday. Like I said, someone told me an out of towner came in from blue whites, or I'm sorry, 6 blues. They threw a buzz to the wood line.
yes. I will throw a mid range further off that tee than I will throw a driver.
It's more glide, yeah.
Yeah, the glide.
I'd
That's
like
what
to
I
see.
was going to ask.
Honestly, I'd like to see somebody
I've
throw a
seen Justin do it and yell 4 when we were. Jeremy had like a temp hole in the back
Yeah,
there,
yeah,
little
yeah.
island.
You can definitely get
and he
that.
had to yell 4. And we were looking up like, what do you mean?
Jeremy almost hit somebody on that temp tee.
Yeah, I believe it. That's
Okay.
possible.
Or was it Kyle Martin? No,
I just that distance. I was thinking, how does a mid get that far? I know it's downhill, but come on, a
more
mid.
glide.
It's all about the glide.
Yeah.
I really want to see somebody throw a glitch on hole 6.
Just rip one off the
Well,
top.
just give Justin one when he comes in June.
Yeah.
You have to find the right distance. Like if I'm throwing off like a top of a mountain, I'd rather throw like a putter. But with something like it has to be gradually. Like hole 6 and bond is perfect for a mid range.
It
The mid-range has
also,
the right speed and
so
the right
depending on
motor.
the seasons, because you got a swirly wind up there, you
So
can
a lot
get
of
some
times with
hard
tailwind.
tailwind. And I think a glitch would be perfectly fine there, and you get send it. But if you have that, we had a headwind. My son, I think, had a video. Were you with us at that one?
Maybe.
Yes. It rolled over, cut rolled, and literally came back up the hill.
For the people watching that don't know what Bond Hole 6 is, let's just put it this way. I've walked up to that tee pad and there are people paragliding off the top of it.
Yeah.
Fair point.
I'll add some pictures for sure.
Yeah, you have to. I don't know what the distance is down, but it is a ways down, and it's fun, right? That's why Squala has the Squala. Shout out to the Squala boys. They have the Squala layout where you play the whites, but you get to the top of the hill, you throw that one, and then when you get to that
Okay,
shorty at
16.
16, you play that long one. So it's interesting and it's fun. But I don't get out there as often as I should, but word is, who designed? Stiggs designed it so he didn't have to go to Moraine. Was that it?
Yeah,
The short end of it?
It was Stiggs. Stiggs worked with Frank to get an initial design. Then he had Sam, myself, Buckley, and a few other people come in to kind of make changes and confirm stuff.
And Holkey never got credit for it, and he's still salty about it.
Yep,
So Hokey was involved. See, I didn't know that.
Yeah, Hokey was a big part of it.
And he was
Sam
salty
designed-
about it. That's why when we helped with Royalton, even like it didn't go in until like a year and a half after we had moved to Charlotte, and I texted Sam and I was like, "Hey, when it opens, please make sure I get credit for it."
Yeah,
Okay. So
yeah.
I knew who was kind of involved, but like I said, it was the short story was Stiggs designed it so he didn't have to go to Moraine.
That is the initial statement. Yeah, he said he wants to design a Moraine in Buffalo. Yes,
I've never
that
been to
was
Moraine yet. Sorry, shame on me,
Guess
but
what?
I will.
I'm gonna double check, but Bond Lake is in the top 100. I don't know if Moraine is anymore. I'm
Yeah,
gonna check.
Bond Lake is in the top 100. I don't know about Moraine.
I would not. I would be shocked if Moraine was not in the top 100. Moraine's in my top 5.
So,
Personal.
fun fact, Buckley and I were signed up for a tournament at Moraine when I was still brand new, and I was going to play it blind.
Moraine is 24, so it beats Bond Lake.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was going to play Moraine blind
shot,
just
maybe.
because I do whatever Buckley says at the in the beginning of my career. He's like, yeah, don't worry about it, it'll be fine. But that was the very first cancellation due to COVID when everything started to go downhill. So I did have plans to actually go there. We had an Airbnb scheduled. We had everything going. And then, unfortunately, things happened, and I didn't go. And I haven't been since because I heard that story after. It was
Santos,
Stiggs.
I would like.
What?
I'd like to.
Imagine,
you played
can you
Vegas
imagine if
before
Buckley
that.
did what Buckley said? I'd be like 1,000 rated. If
Facts.
Buckley just did what Buckley said.
Facts.
But when Buckley listens to Justin, Buckley does the right thing, but I don't tell him to do the right thing.
What?
Why? We can tell a little story about Hole 14 Beaver Island if you'd like.
Oh God, we're not going there. We're not.
Okay.
That's a
All right,
different podcast.
we're at an hour and a half.
Are we? Holy
Yeah.
cow. All right.
I gotta edit this still.
Okay, so
Yeah,
we're going to have
when
to
you put
invite you
Buckley on a
guys. Wait,
podcast, you're going to get a long podcast.
how many
I think
minutes?
I've said like 7 sentences this entire time.
I was going to say,
I think we did a pretty good job not swearing.
Yeah, you
No, I
swearing
didn't.
doesn't matter to me. This is an open, like I've said, just watch the podcast if you haven't seen it enough. This is, you're allowed to have an opinion. You're allowed to say what you want, how you feel. Just understand, listen so that you can understand. Don't listen to reply. So allow someone to have an opinion if it's different than yours, but allow them to express it, and then you can express yours. So everybody, we're not just going to give vanilla answers where you're just towing the line and saying what people are allowed to say or you think they can say. So Justin has a fair point. Marcus never talks, but
Sucks.
no, Justin
up.
didn't get to talk very much. So give us the 90-second version of your Hole 14 at Beaver before we close it out.
Oh God.
All right. Buckley used to throw a lot of trilogy. He had this trespass.
Still in my bag.
Huh?
It's still in my bag.
It's still in your bag, the pink one? Yeah, nice. So Hole 14 Beaver Island, it has a big pond on the left, and it slopes to it. There's a road on the right. It's about a 440 foot par 3. Is that
Yeah.
right?
You know what
Yeah.
we're talking about?
Hole 14 at Beaver Island.
Oh, yes.
Maybe.
Yes. Okay, because when you come back to 10, you go across, and then you come back, and then you go 2 holes. Yeah, I got you. I'm tracking.
Yeah. All right, sweet. So I don't remember who were we playing with. I don't even remember. I think it was Adam Chismar when he lived here, wasn't it?
She's
It might have
Mario.
been.
Chismario.
Okay.
Shout out to Chismario. He lives in Tennessee now, going back home. So I can predict what Buckley is going to do on a hole pretty much to the tee. So I think it was Adam. I was telling Adam, like I was saying it quietly but loud enough that Buckley could hear it. I was like, all right, Buckley's going to grab this trespass. He's going to switch it out for this other one. He's going to put it on hyzer. It's going to flip, go OB. Then he's going to throw a really good upshot. I don't give him comments. I said he's going to throw a good upshot. He's going to land 25 feet and then miss the putt. So he does exactly that. He grabs the trespass, switches it for the other trespass.
There's a headwind, so he said he's gonna feel it's a headwind. He's gonna walk back, grab his other one that's more stable. Still gonna throw out of bounds.
So he does that. He throws out of bounds. The second he throws out of bounds, before it even like actually goes out of bounds, he turns around and starts just running directly.
I had heard him. I heard him say he's going to grab this trespass and he's gonna throw it out of bounds. And then I switched and then threw it and still threw it out of bounds. And Adam said, "You don't want to hear this, but Justin told me you were gonna switch this and then still throw out of bounds." And at that point, I chased Justin down.
I run about 100 feet back behind
sprint. We're both at full sprint. I have his left arm in my hand, and he takes his X step and throws an X1 on a flex. And
off the tee pad, by the way, off the tee pad, completely legal.
And parks the hole as his actual shot with his left hand in my hand.
Oh my God.
And then he throws the upshot to about 25 feet. And credit to Bob, he actually made
the putt.
He did make the putt.
He made the putt.
Which shocked the world on that day.
Oh my goodness. So you threw your drive with him holding on to you, trying to take you down.
Yeah.
And parked it.
Oh, yeah. And after I let go of the shot, he did get me to the ground. Yeah, I was tackled after that.
I'm sorry, Bobby Buckles, but I'm going to need you to explain why your actions of you switching your disc, throwing it out of bounds, was his fault.
Because it got in my head. He's the only person in the world that can get in my head.
Except for you.
I don't do it that often anymore.
Don't you live in your head with your putting woes and everything you're going through now?
Yeah, why do you think I've switched my head switched my putting so much? Because Justin shits on it, and I'm like, oh god, I gotta switch my putt.
I'm sorry to hear that. All right, we're definitely gonna have you guys back on since we love story time with you guys. Yeah. The Mechakins, that's gonna stick. We'll get T-shirts, get you some merch. Speaking of which, shout out.
I can make it with my cricket.
Buckley, we recognize that shirt.
Oh yeah, Bob's wearing the sweet Nathan Queen Dark Ace shirt.
There you go, Dark Ace.
Oh,
no, I'm not a swinger. That's not what the pineapples are for.
I don't know. You have to ask your wife that question.
Both.
Is that a thing? I didn't know that was a thing.
Pineapples for swingers?
Yeah.
I didn't know it was either. I didn't know he was either until I bought the shirt, and somebody was like, "Oh, are you a swinger?" And I'm like, "No."
Yeah.
And I'm like self-conscious every time I wear
I think it became more famous on TikTok if there's pineapple on like the welcome mat. It's to let you know that
it has to be upside down. It has to be upside down.
Is that what it is?
I think so. Lacey knows about it. I think.
Why does your daughter know what a swinger is?
What is this?
This is my favorite hoodie that you ever made me. It's the one with the infinite bombers going down one side.
Oh yeah.
And then the wings on the other.
Yeah.
And then your whole skull on the back.
Yeah. And that sleeve with the bomber logo going down the sleeve was perfect for his throwing arm before he launches.
I think we gotta wrap it up. Tomorrow's Valentine's Day, and this has been like a 2-hour podcast.
So. Yeah, I gotta make dinner still.
We've been trying to wrap it up. You kept going. Yeah, we might have to separate this into 3 different podcasts now.
We're gonna make people listen.
I gotta go make dinner.
At 11 o'clock, good luck. Just get Taco Bell. She'll love you for it.
No, I don't want Taco Bell.
All right, hey. Thanks for joining us, guys. If you're still here, thanks for joining us, too. We have fun. We try to explain everything the best we can, but we're going to look to have Jimmy so we can talk about the clubs and how we do things.
Bobby Jones.
Who?
Bobby Jones.
Bobby Jones? We'll see if we can nail him down. That's a tough guy to nail down, and we'll see maybe Sticks, too. So, you guys, thanks again for joining us. We're going to keep working on this, and hopefully we'll get some live action soon. We're working on that. Yeah. So stick around, come back, like, subscribe.
Hit that bell.
Hit that bell. You get the alerts. And we got more videos to come, so stay tuned. Thank you, guys. Thanks, guys.
Okay.
Peace out.